Welcome. Have you noticed that all over the place, people are using the word manifesting and telling us how to do it? It's the new buzzword. I began contemplating this word probably 20 years ago, so I want to take a dive into it here and look at a particular aspect of the idea of manifesting, and that's using a negative emotion to create a positive outcome. And I want to do this by examining Abraham-Hicks, Rhonda Byrne, and Athena in truth. So let's dive in. People often use the word manifesting as something positive or something wanted. But manifesting can be anything, wanted or unwanted, positive or negative, and it's always happening whether we're aware of it or not. It's happening automatically, whether consciously or unconsciously, deliberately or blindly, based on what we think and therefore what we feel. It's a function of physics. It's like attracts like. So let's keep in mind two things as I talk about these three teachers. The first one is that one thing cannot exist without its opposite. So right cannot exist without left. Venom doesn't exist without anti-venom. Poor cannot exist without rich. Joy doesn't exist without sorrow. How would we know joy without sorrow, right? So that's number one. And the second thing to keep in mind is that science shows us that consciousness can operate at a distance from the body. So there's no question about that, at this point. So our thoughts and therefore our feelings go out into the universe, and the universe picks up on it, all of it. And similar emotions coagulate, so much so that they slow down, the vibration slows down and becomes matter or situations. And this is called or termed law of attraction. So becoming aware of our thoughts and our feelings gives us an indication of what's going to be reflected back to us, that which is like that feeling that we're having. So some people are completely unaware of their feelings, so they're suppressed, and they're therefore surprised at what shows up or doesn't show up in their lives. So, but if you're interested in knowing more about this, more about the research into this, I recommend the research being done at HeartMath Institute at Stanford University. Also, Joe Dispenza, Deepak Chopra, Nassim Haramein, and Carolyn Corey. There's so many, and Lynn McTaggart. She's a good one to study as well. Those are just to name a few, really. Also, you might be interested in exploring near-death experiences. I think that tells us a lot. So now let's dive into these popular spiritual teachers and what they have to say about manifesting, particularly from a place of not feeling good. What do we do when we feel overwhelmed with a negative emotion? How can we create or manifest what we want when we feel awful? We want to change something in our lives. We know that how we feel is creating something like it or what's coming next. And aren't we supposed to feel good in order to manifest what we desire? So let's start with Esther Hicks. Pardon me. Esther channels or brings forth a consciousness known as Abraham. She's known internationally. So for those people who don't believe in channeling, I would suggest just suspending your disbelief and just consider the information and not the messenger. And remember, Esther may be one of those people who picks up on information that many of us cannot or have not learned to do. So Esther, or Abraham, says, be real. Don't fake it or pretend you're feeling something that you are not. Yeah, you can fake it till you make it, but it may take us a long time to change our subconscious, patterns of thought through repetition, though it can be done through repetition for sure. So Abraham basically says when something unwanted or an unwanted feeling occurs, and you feel that kick in the gut, they say take the hit, feel it, then turn in the direction of what you prefer. Because remember, one thing cannot exist without its opposite. So the moment we allow that true, authentic feeling, the universe creates its opposite. It has to, and it exists vibrationally. Abraham says that what's happening is that these rockets of desire shoot out of us, and the opposite is created instantly. So now we have to trust that through the authentic feeling, our desire exists, and to focus on that. So we're turning from that negative feeling then and focusing on its opposite. We just can't get stuck in that loop of negativity, that, I don't know if you're like me, but it's happened more than one time. So we need to start focusing on what we desire and not on what we don't want. And that's the challenge, right? And I'm going to talk about that later. So now, it isn't necessary that we manifest or create through a negative feeling or situation. We could just go through life merrily and all our desires would be realized easily because we would not be applying resistance to the things we desire by thinking negative thoughts and therefore negative feelings. But we can't fake the good feeling. We're talking about the times when we're feeling those negative emotions and we want something and it's not manifesting or it's not coming into our experience, or we feel terrible and we don't know what to do about it. So if you truly feel great all the time, then nothing else is necessary. Your good feelings are mirrored back to you, and the desired things show up in our lives, right? So there's so much more to say about this, but I'm keeping it limited to manifesting a new, improved feeling or situation from a negative emotion. Abraham offers many techniques for feeling good or staying in that good feeling in their book titled Ask and It Is Given. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm limiting this to creating a positive from a negative, right? So remember, there are no good or bad feelings. So don't make yourself wrong because of them. It's sometimes tough to stand tall. Our feelings are there to guide us, to show us what we're creating. So feel the feelings authentically, but don't stay in that emotion. Stay in the knowing or the faith that what we prefer exists now, but we have to become a match to the thing we desire in order for it to be seen or manifested. Okay, so let's go to number 2, Rhonda Byrne. Rhonda Byrne I chose because she is such a popular author of the book and the movie called The Secret. I think I saw it before it actually came out through a spiritual center, I was associated with. I think that was 2005, maybe. Rhonda's biggest message is be aware. When we're aware of a negative emotion, Rhonda says, feel it, then welcome it like you would welcome a friend. Because by welcoming it, we stop pushing against it, because what we resist persists. If we say, no, get away from me, this thing I don't want, it's the same thing as saying, give me more of it, because what we focus on gets bigger. But by feeling it, like Abraham and the rockets of desire shooting from us and creating its opposite, by welcoming it, letting go of the negative feeling associated with it, The negative emotion reduces just by looking at it. It's like stepping back and observing it, then being grateful for it because it's showing us what's being created because of the negative emotion. It's opposite. If we try to push it away, it keeps getting mirrored back to us. But by welcoming it, it reduces. It may come back again, but it won't feel, terrible. Each time we do this, eventually, it will not have a strong negative impact. So remember, we don't need negative emotion to create or manifest, but if we're feeling it, then this is a way to transform it. Can you see how this is very much like what Abraham says? It's providing zero resistance to the negative feeling, and therefore to what was just created because of the negative feeling, which would quicken the improved feeling, and therefore a positive or desired manifestation. I hope that made sense. So let's move on to number 3, Athena in Truth. Athena in Truth is channeled by Robin Jelinek. This one was tricky for me to unpack. Some of what Athena says, or some of Athena's, I should say, words seemed a bit ambiguous to me. So Athena is talking about choosing our feelings. And for me, it's easier to understand by using the word identifying rather than choosing. Choosing to me sounded like, oh, I'll choose love rather than, what I'm really feeling, which may be fear. But in spending time on it, I've come to understand that Athena is basically saying the same thing that Abraham and Rhonda are saying. Again, we're talking about using that negative emotion to create something wanted by being authentic, by being real about what we're feeling. Said another way, using the authentic negative emotion to create its opposite, a preferred emotion or situation, then trusting that the opposite exists vibrationally and the universe will reflect it back to us. They'll reflect back to us that preferred state of being. But we have to stay in the preferred emotion in order for the reflection to take hold or to manifest. And that's, of course, the challenge. So more on that later. So Athena, like Abraham, says, be real. Stop blaming ourselves for how we feel or blaming others. We choose, or I would say identify, our feelings based on past experiences, and they are valid, right? So the problem is that we make ourselves bad or wrong because of it. And I think spiritual communities do this inadvertently. They say, they lovingly say it. Being spiritual means expressing love. So, or being spiritual, I should say that differently. As a spiritual person, we express love. So people wanting to be spiritual, they won't allow themselves to acknowledge or feel angry or angry feelings or anything deemed a negative emotion. So how many times have you heard people mildly complaining about something, then quickly saying, but it's all good? See, never fully or honestly identifying their true feelings or taking ownership of them. But these negative emotions show us what we're creating. If we hold on to feelings that don't feel good, then we can't connect with what does feel good. So over time, though, by claiming or acknowledging our feelings and honoring them without blame and trusting that what we prefer is being created for us and will be mirrored back to us in situations that we like, we become less reactive less apt to feel negative emotions, and therefore the universe will reflect more of our desires to us. So we confidently say, I feel used, or I feel angry, or I feel insecure or not good enough. You could say, I am angry, or I am insecure. So whether you say, I feel this thing, or I am this thing, it's all about claiming the feeling without making yourself wrong or bad because of it. We want to state it as a fact, like we would state anything else as a fact. We can either say, oh, poor me, I'm insecure, it's terrible, this thing that has happened to me, or we can say, I am choosing or identifying in my power as a creator to claim this feeling of insecurity, which sends a signal of insecurity to the universe so that it may create the opposite, security. So claim the authentic emotion and do it in awakeness, and you'll automatically feel better just by claiming that real feeling. The universe then starts to send us what we want to feel. It knows what we want. But if we continue to send out that original signal of insecurity or whatever, then the universe backs away and it will send us another mirror of insecurity that doesn't feel so good, right? It will keep giving us that, or situations like that. So what's happening here is that we are embracing all of who we are, not making ourselves small in our feelings. So surrender to the feeling, like Abraham and Rhonda say, feel it, claim it confidently without judgment or trying to change it. Confidently say, I am insecure, or I feel insecure, or I am angry, or feel angry. And therefore we use that emotion to create its opposite, the feeling of security. If you don't shrink when you say it, it feels good, knowing that we're using it for creation. Think about what I mentioned in the beginning. One thing cannot exist without its opposite existing as well. So we have to choose or identify the real emotion so that we'll get a reflection of what we want, its opposite. So tiny little story. I remember waking up one morning after a week or more of shrinking because someone was being awful to me and blaming me for something that I didn't do or twisting the situation. I woke up absolutely pissed off and I allowed myself to feel it. I was angry. And then I suddenly realized I felt so much better in my anger because it was a true feeling that I had been suppressing. I had been shrinking rather than confidently feeling the feeling. I didn't go, blast that person because of it, but I realized, God, I felt so much better. I was confident about it. And so, all right. Much of what these three teachers are saying are the same. There's 4 things. 1, be aware of how we're feeling. Don't gloss over it, sugarcoat it, claim that negative feeling. Oh, that's number 2, claim that, or identify the authentic feeling. So authentically name that feeling. Number 3, don't judge ourselves as being wrong or bad, and don't judge others as well. Now, on a side note here, something I was thinking, sometimes people think that their negative feelings about another person or a situation is telling them to stay away from that person or stay away from that situation. Maybe. But more likely, it's showing us what's inside of us, not the other person. So, and number 4, the universe will reflect back to us the improved feeling or situation, but only if we don't shrink because of the negative feeling. So now that we've looked a bit at Abraham, Rhonda, and Athena, the question is, how do we stay in the knowing that what we want exists, and that if we stay in that positive emotion, what we desire will manifest? It's through experience. It's through testing. Practice with something small. Maybe it's a neighbor who isn't being all that neighborly, or someone who cut you off in traffic. Get off by yourself. Close your eyes. Feel the hit of it. Say, I am angry, and be confident and sure about your feelings until the kick in the gut softens. Then breathe deeply and welcome the feeling. For me, welcoming is very powerful. Say, thank you for this feeling, which is telling me what I would prefer. A nice, thoughtful person, or a nice, thoughtful neighbor. By the way, my neighbors are very nice. I just want to throw that in case they happen to see this. And then use your imagination to see something different. Nice people. Maybe see yourself as a peacemaker, bringing light and compassion to others and not being affected by the small shit, right? Because if we stay in that negative emotion, it is going to mirror back to us over and over what we don't prefer. But sometimes we don't recognize or make the connection between the unneighborly neighbor and the mean grocery store clerk. Say, we don't realize that the grocery store clerk might be a manifestation based on the thought about our unneighborly neighbor. You can apply this to other situations, such as work, or perhaps a desire for more money. You could say, I'm fearful about the lack of financial support. It's about how it feels when we say it. If it's a real emotion, it should quickly feel lighter in our gut. So in an effort to stay in that positive feeling, you could write a story about a situation that you prefer. This is actually very powerful in terms of getting yourself to a higher vibration. In fact, Rhonda Byrne says, go for an Oscar. I love that. You can write it on sticky notes and put it all over your house as a reminder to do two things: focus and imagine. Those are two skills that, are, I think, most important. And do whatever feels good to you, whether it's taking a walk, talking to a friend, cooking something that you love, listening to uplifting music, anything, that feels good to you. It's important to more and more quickly catch ourselves going down a negative path, a negative thought process, and turning to love. But when we feel that punch in the gut, allowing ourselves to feel it and claim it, knowing there's no one to blame, and thanking it for showing us, what's within, something about ourselves, and then turning to love. I really feel that's the answer. And remember, don't make yourself wrong for your feelings. We have them for a reason. Don't blame yourself. It's hard not to blame others, but at least don't take out your feelings on others. So be real, stand tall and confident, and claim your authentic emotions, and then imagine. So my desire and intention is that you and I become masters of our emotions and our imagination. So thank you for listening.